my granny never said that she seen one up at the top of the garden on her when she was younger.
Granny Donaghy?
No, she would be never. Granny never.
Do you believe in fairies?
Yeah, not now. But there must have been something. There must have been something because the older people talked a lot about fairies and they say some man got built they said up above where we live, and they got the buyer for the cows, but their cows kept, you know how cows would have peeing all over, you know, where they looked, and then the ferryman went to them and says, "You'll have to take that buyer down because it's running into my chimney."
God.
And you can't have that. And he said, "God, I don't know, I can't take it down." He says, "You'll have to do something then." So he took the cows away because he was scared of them. And another man then, he was only a teenager boy, and he was missing for 3 days. And they looked everywhere and they couldn't find him. And then they come walking in one day. He said he would be Paddy Kavanagh's uncle or grandfather or something like that. And he said that he could see them. He was in under the ground in a wee house. And the people kept him there for 3 days and then they let him go home. So then,
What about leprechauns?
no,
And what about leprechauns?
I never got up. I got up in the morning, every morning. I was going to school and this told us if we could catch the leprechaun. You know, if you kept your eyes on him, don't take your eyes off him. If you crossed the road and you seen him good and you caught him and we could tell you whether we were a crop of gold. And I remember thinking to myself, it would be great if we could get a crop of gold and then we could get a car and we would, you know, wouldn't have to walk to school and we wouldn't have to walk to mass on Sunday morning. I was watching away to catch a fairy, but I never seen one.
Amazing. I'll see that.
Did you ever get a bit of poitín?
No. No. I'm a pioneer. I never had a...
Was there a lot of it about?
Oh, Jesus, in the hill. I know my granny had men out in the hill working at turf. And they started being very late coming home from the hill, you know, she would have their dinner ready for 7 o'clock, but they weren't home at 7. And one night I was up in Granny's and they come home and they were all drunk and they had cans that they always took cans of water and they made tea out in the hill, put a wee fire on and they would then wash the cans, and if they could get up where men would be out in the hill, that's where they would be having their still to make their stuff. And they come on this, they called it a still, and they would the lids in the can. And they were putting the can around like that. You know, when you see that in the evening sun shining in the cars. And they were well late coming home and Granny gave them a good telling off and she slapped them. As they slapping them around, you know, when they come in because they were late for work and drunk. And she said she went to the priest in the next morning and told the guards and for that. And she told them where the still was, and I told them where the boys come home drunk and still. They bought the full the cans of wee still, they called it wee still. And then the guards, they got to know where all the still was, and they got, they were all fine then. Most of them were sick people that were sent to jail that was making it. You know, somebody said there were two men, then the priest said he couldn't hear their confessions, and confessions then were sort of very important. So he said to the priest, said to them, you can't, we can't hear your confessions, you have to go to the bishop.
Mm.
And the two men went to the bishop to confess him, but the first man, he was in first, and he kept him a long time, you know, the priest. But then the second man, he was going on, and he said, but the penance he put him on, I wasn't to speak to anybody for a day and a half, you know, for that night and for the next day. And this man, he was going, he was saying, how do you get on? How do you get on? And he shaking your head. And he says, well, by Christ, this is who made a number of, if I made a number of you, he's going to make a number of me, and he never went to confession. I thought that So the older people believed in all these things, and I believed in most of it myself. Even when I was an adult myself, I wouldn't. I never touched it.
And what was it like living during the Second World War?
I don't remember much about it, you know, but
Didn't really affect you?
It did affect us in a way because you're feared if Daddy would go to Cairn. You were scared to death that the guards or somebody would pull him up, you know. Everybody was, if you took a drink at all, it was awful. But you know, I didn't remember much about it, but Daddy said it was. They were late, they were the stage that you weren't to go outside after 9 o'clock at night, somewhere in winter, and it was very annoying for them to go out, and they didn't know what they were going to come against. It must have been awful.
Mm. And is there anything you wish you knew when you were young? Just was there anything you wish you knew back then? In general, just.
And what?
In general.
Or what will you say to your young self?
No, it was over when we were. It was over, you know, when we started to go out to dances and things like that, and we'd go out on our own. So, but in Mummy's time it was different. You couldn't go out on your own. and you didn't know whether you were going to be, if you were met some day that didn't know you, they would just shoot you.
Mm.
You know, if it was out looking for it, they would be thinking that you were walking your own, that you were a bad person, or I think it wasn't nice when Mummy and Daddy was young. But we didn't see it. We didn't see that. And,
What made you go to Scotland?
oh, Russian.
Why did you have to do it there?
Well, I didn't like travelling, and I got the atlas out and looked, and Dumfries in Scotland was, you could leave the house in the morning and get a bus to Derry and get for a bus, then get the boat from Derry to Scotland. And from when you got off the bus, then the nearest hospital was Dumfries, that day was a training hospital. And you could be there at 10 o'clock at night. So we left the house at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and we were going to Dumfries at 10 o'clock at night. And that's why I went to Dumfries. I didn't know anybody in it, or just seen it.
What was your favourite memory of Dumfries?
I loved it. I loved them from the minute I went on. It was, the people were nice, and the first week I was there was a patient in, and she said to me, "You come and visit me?" And I said, "Well, surely, you know." And I had you know, she gave me her address, and she said, and then I went to there, and she said to me, you can make us your home, come home when your days off and your nights off, and they were terribly nice people. And the same thing happened with my sister. She met somebody from, I can't remember the place it was, down and further away than 20 miles further there. And she was she nursed this woman, and she said, you know, come and stay with us, you know, for your nights off and your days off. So there was a girl, and I was friendly with, and she was down in that way, and I used to go down with her to that other lady's house, and I took Mary with me, and we made it. And then if Mary was going down to the other house, I would go with her too. So we had 2 homes from Scotland.
That's nice.
And the people were lovely, really lovely.
What about all the badness you used to get up to?